There are different measures for poverty, for child poverty. There's, at least 5 of them that the UN recognises. They're pretty easy to put together. It's just a question of the government picking one and saying, right, that's it. That's our starting point. Our target to reduce child poverty is going to be based on that, and get on with it and do it. This excuse making that there are different measures, therefore we're not going to do anything, is just not acceptable.
Why do you think what's behind the motivation, do you think?
Well, who knows? But this is a government that's been there for 8 years, and child poverty shows no sign of getting better. If anything, it's getting worse. You've got now, the bottom 20% of income earners now spending more than 50% of their after-tax income on accommodation and housing. So you've got real issues, structural issues now about, household budgets for a large chunk of the population. If you're a government that's been in place for 8 years, you don't want to front up to that. So you don't want to do anything about it.
Okay, let's drill down and focus on you now, because I wonder whether Judge Beecroft has done us all a bit of a favour by giving some definition at the weekend. 150,000 children in material deprivation. Right. Now, you said something important yesterday. You accept that figure.
The measure of material deprivation,
so
which means you've got about 150,000 kids in that
material
category
deprivation.
of poverty. Yes.
So you're going to use that figure now, not the double figure of 300,000.
Yeah, which was an income-related one,
sure,
based on 60% of the median income.
That's right.
So let's start with 150,000 figure,
okay,
and let's use that as the starting point.
All right, so that's the figure that you've accepted, and you've taken on this commitment to reduce it by 10% in a year, should you obviously have the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, and actually I think 10% is a pretty unambitious target. We ought to be giving urgent priority to the child poverty question. The idea that you've got 150,000 kids and we think, 10% a year sort of thing, actually you're not a child for long. And you're a child living in impoverished circumstances. You're being denied life opportunities, which is why I think we've got to approach this with much greater urgency than is being given.
You've actually committed to
moment.
ending child poverty.
Yeah, I've said I'm not prepared to tolerate it. It's going to take time to attack it.
Well, let's put the spotlight on you then.
Yeah.
When? What's your target for eliminating child poverty?
Well, it's not going to happen straight away.
I know. Well, this sounds airy-fairy to me. You had a crack at the other guy.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Because they won't even,
okay,
they don't even want a starting point.
I want to hear from you.
I'm prepared to accept a starting point.
Okay, and I want to hear
150,000, and we're going to work on that.
But I've got the press releases from you saying that you were going to eliminate child poverty, and I'm asking you a simple question.
Yeah.
When?
Well, it's as I said, so you got the starting point. Let's say it's 150,000. There's a number of things we have to do. We've got to address the housing question, and we've committed to that. State housing, more houses, so we reduce the rentals. There's the other part of it.
Yeah, but can we get a time? I mean, if we can't, you just tell me and we'll move on. Because I don't want to bore people.
No, because
if you can't put a target on it.
Let's be realistic about it, because these are difficult questions. But you've got to accept that.
This is what the other guy's saying, though.
No, he's not. No, because he's saying, listen, it's too hard to measure it, so we don't have to take it seriously.
Yeah, but when I say to you, when are you going to achieve your goal of eliminating child poverty? You say what?
I'm going to say we're going to accept the target. We're going to start the work. It's going to take, it won't happen in one term. Lucky if it happens in 2 terms. The underlying question we have is, when you deal with the housing question, the education question, all those sorts of things, the remaining question you've got left is the income question. Now, you can do some of that by lifting the minimum wage, but the rest of it, you've actually got to lift wages generally, and that's the big task.
Okay, let's move to a couple of specific things that would make an impact on child poverty. Will you increase benefit levels?
We've already, in the last election, we committed to our best start for children.
From where they are now, mate, would you do it?
Yeah, can I just go back? So in the last election, we committed to our best start for children package, which was $60 a week first.
That's irrelevant. That's just paper now. We're at a position where the benefits are X. I'm asking you, should you be elected or lead a government, would you increase benefits?
So it's not irrelevant to say that the policy that we campaigned on 2 years ago is as relevant today as it was then, and that's about
benefits have gone up $25 since then.
Families, for impoverished families with kids, actually families with kids, you've got to give that start in life, $60 a week for a child in the first year of their life, then heavily targeted in the years after that.
Would you increase benefits as Prime Minister?
But the best start for children policy is about a benefit for children, targeted at families with children, with new children.
So you'd increase them from where they are now?
That's what I've just said, yes.
By how much?
Well, I've just said our best start for children policy starts at $60 a week for the first year of a child's life. for most children, and then gets heavily targeted in the second and subsequent years.
So that is the policy you're going to take through to the election?
That's what we stood on last time, and we will recommit ourselves to a policy to lift children and impoverished families out of that poverty.
And just finally, working for families, a lot of criticism that it doesn't go to children of beneficiaries. Would you extend it to them?
I can't make that commitment now. I know that that's a big debating point. The Child Poverty Action Group is in regular contact with us. They say that's the glaring gap at the moment. But I can't, given
Why not?
the fiscal circumstances that we've got at the moment, and we just don't know what the government's planning on doing next year. So I cannot make that commitment. A nice thing to do, but not possible to make that commitment right now.
All right.